Hi, I'm Dr. Anna, and I am dedicated to your trauma recovery. As you know, we focus on questions about your trauma and recovery, whatever they are. And I absolutely appreciate every single comment and email that we're getting on these YouTube videos. I want you to stay connected with this conversation, subscribe to the channel, and help us continue with this important dialogue. You absolutely know someone with PTSD. With 365,000 global searches monthly on the search term, what is PTSD? That is a lot of people wondering about post-traumatic stress and recovery. And the stats from 2013 research showed that over 90% polled endorsed having experienced at least one significant trauma in the course of their life. And we know that amongst those people, between 17 to 27% subsequently develop post-traumatic stress disorder resulting from exposure. And really, depending on the severity of the trauma, you know, people are more or less likely to develop post-traumatic stress disorder subsequently. I want you to just consider this email that I received from Chandra. And she talks about a friend who told her that she has PTSD from something that happened 20 years ago, and she wonders if this is possible. So let's read Chandra's email. Hi, Dr. Anna. My girlfriend told me she has a post-traumatic stress from being abused when she was 6 years old. That's more than 20 years ago. What's the big deal? Can't she get over it? Can't she just get over it? She tells me she has nightmares and sometimes gets really upset when we go out because she keeps reliving her abuse. I'm trying to be a good friend, but I just don't get it. I feel bad for her, but I just don't know what to do. This is a great question, and one that I think a lot of people contend with. I'm really glad that you're raising this issue. It really is important for all of us to consider. It can be very confusing to just get why somebody is struggling over something that happened so long ago. You know, unless you've actually experienced post-traumatic stress yourself and really understand how powerful the feelings are, really understanding why somebody would be suffering and struggling many years, many months after an event, sometimes it just doesn't make sense to somebody who is observing it. But boy, those experiences, those feelings can be riveting and powerful. Here's the thing, post-traumatic stress disorder is real. People really experience it, they really suffer from it. People can and do continue to suffer from these things that happened many years ago. And as observers, you know, whether it's somebody in your life, your spouse, your friend, your child, whoever it is, it can be really confusing, not just for you, but for the sufferers as well. And I want you to know that you can absolutely help your friend. And there are a number of things I want you to consider. But first, let me tell you something that I remember from my own childhood. And I grew up in a family where there was PTSD. And I remember going into the subway in Toronto with my father. I was probably about 7 years old at the time. We're going into the subway system. Somebody approaches my father, and he just freezes. This person was asking a very simple question. This really stands out in my mind because I remember my father, who was such a smart and capable man, just being riveted in the spot by a simple question. It didn't make any sense for me. Well, I was always, you know, a little talkative myself, so it was easy for me to kind of notice my dad wasn't saying anything and then answer the question. But boy, did that moment stick in my mind, because I saw that he was in pain and something was very wrong in the moment. Well, it took many years for me to understand that my father was suffering from PTSD, and you know, a lot of learning and understanding, and many years later to really get what that moment was about. But you know, I could see that trauma was impacting him, and in retrospect I could look back many years and see those moments much more clearly today. One, trauma does not just go away. So there may be moments where your friend has some pretty big reactions and they don't make sense to your friend and they don't make sense to you. But that does not mean that they are not a normal response to post-traumatic stress, to experience a major trauma. Two, your friend isn't just faking it or looking for some way of getting attention. I hear this from people sometimes, and it simply is not the case. When people are struggling with post-traumatic stress, the impact is riveting. You can be absolutely shocked into immobility, and that is not a deliberate act. Most people feel way out of control in those moments. Three, after serious trauma, strong feelings can be very confusing for the individual experiencing them. Show compassion, even if you don't fully understand it. You don't need to fully understand what's going on. You can just deliver a sense of wholehearted compassion. And finally, 4, ask your friend if they have a good trauma therapist. And if the answer is no, ask if she needs help finding one. And if the answer is yes, ask if she wants your help contacting somebody and even screening the person. There are many cases in which people call me on behalf of a friend or a loved one in order to do a pre-screening and actually see, is this therapist trauma informed? Does she or he have the right skills? And I want to encourage you that if your friend gives you a thumbs up and absolutely yes, that you give her this help. And there are some amazing websites and resources out there to help you follow step by step the questions to ask, and local resources, great organizations that you can find in your own community for people who are working with licensed regulatory mental health practitioners that can help. Those are the people to reach out for in your community. They can really make a difference if they're trauma-informed care practitioners, and this means they really know the best skills that are available. So we're going to recap. First, trauma does not just go away. 2, your friends or loved ones are not just faking it. 3, after a serious trauma, just show compassion. And finally, offer to help those in your life find trauma-informed care. I hope these videos are helpful for you. Please subscribe and let's continue this conversation about post-traumatic growth and recovery. Embrace growth.